Join ForumIAS Academy, trusted by hundreds of toppers, including IAS Rank 1 Shruti Sharma.
Hi, my name is Krishnan. Today I'll be doing the Hindi news analysis. These are the 5 articles that we'll be seeing for the day, and towards the end we'll be seeing previous year questions. So this article is about cotton and how the recent rains are helping to expand cotton farming. So what has happened? Agricultural experts have predicted an increase in the cotton acreage. So what does acreage means? That is increase in the land under cultivation. So because of this, what is going to happen in northern state? There is going to be increase in cotton cultivation. Why? Because of recent unseasonal rains. So in this time you do not expect rains in North India, right? But because of rains there is going to be expansion of cotton cultivation. So we'll see a few facts associated with this. So in Haryana, 3.5 lakh hectares of cotton has been sown so far, but the target is 7 lakh. And in Punjab, it has just been 30,000 crores hectares so far, but the target is 3 lakh. But because of this rains, it is expected to increase. You see, in Punjab and Haryana, 95% of the sown cotton is BT cotton only. Only 5% is indigenous cotton varieties. So but in this article what you should mainly know is we should know about cotton. So from prelims perspective this is very important. So in Kharif season we grow crop. It grows very well in tropical and subtropical areas. And what is the suitable rainfall? 55 to 100 centimeter, and temperature should be from 21 to 30 degrees Celsius throughout the year. And the temperature should also not go below 20 degrees Celsius. And remember this, frost is the number one enemy. So if you are growing cotton, frost should not be there at all. So wherever cotton is grown, for 210 days frost should not be there. So you see, wherever cotton is grown, it will have at least 210 frost free days in a year. It is grown in the western part of Tamil Nadu, in Maharashtra, in Gujarat, in all these places they are grown. So for 210 days they should have frost free days. That is very, very important for cotton cultivation. Next, we should know about Kharif season. So when will we have Kharif season in India? With the onset of monsoon, with the onset of southwest monsoon, Kharif season begins. So what will happen after the rains? Before the rains, seeds will be sown June to July. And when will it be harvested? September to October it will be harvested. And most of the important crops that we consume are grown during Kharif season. So what are they? Rice, maize, jowar, bajra, tur, moong, urad, cotton, jute, groundnut, soybean, so on and so forth. So all these crops are grown in this season only. That is Kharif season, which is very, very important season for us in India. So now let us see a few facts on BT cotton. So you all know who developed BT cotton. It is Monsanto, which is also called Bayer Monsanto. So what they'll do is they'll insert two genes, that is CRY1AB and CRY2BC. Where do they get these two genes? They get it from Bacillus thuringiensis. So you should be very familiar with this term, Bacillus thuringiensis. With this only BT cottons are made. So why is it a BT cotton? Because this gene makeover, this gene modification produces an insecticide. What this insecticide will do? It will not allow bollworm to affect cotton. So because of that yield will be very high. In India, who is taking care of all this genetically modified plant? It is the GEAC. So you should remember this. This is the Genetic Engineering Appraisal Committee. So they only will take care of all this modified GM modified crops. So in Punjab, when was BT cotton was introduced? It was introduced in 2005. So with respect to BT cotton, what you should do? It is the Monsanto. They are developing it, and two genes, CRY1AB and CRY2BC, and what is the name of the bacterium? Those things you should know. And how it will help the yield? It is because it will act as an insecticide and it will not allow insects to reduce the yield. So that is the specialty of BT cotton. So what are the pros of GM cotton? You should remember all this. If you use GM cotton, you can reduce insecticide use because the gene itself will modify it into an insecticide, and you don't have to use fertilizers much. It improves the soil health. This is very important. It will give higher yield compared to traditional varieties. Economic returns. If you go to cotton growing areas, the farmers will be very rich. Climate adaptation and increased quality of life. What are the cons? No benefit to small farmers, because what will happen, you will have to grow this cotton in very big areas, so you cannot, small farmers cannot afford it. And lobbying means this, corporates and big farmers will lobby for using it in other areas. Like right now we have only GM seeds for cotton, but they'll ask them to use in other areas also. The seeds are very costly and poor farmers cannot buy it, and they'll have unsuitable expansion. They'll want to grow cotton in areas where there is no black soil also. In those areas also they'll want to grow it. Monoculture practices, this is very important. What is monoculture practices? Because cotton is giving money, they'll not grow millets, they'll not grow food crops. Everywhere they'll grow cotton only. That is only monoculture practices. And what happens, eventually there will be this, varieties will become resistant to weeds and insects. So if you keep using GM crops, GM cotton, what will happen, the bollworm will attack because it will become resistant to the seeds and insects. And regarding health concern, because we really don't know what will happen because of GM, so they are telling we cannot differentiate between food crops and non-food crops. Right now food crops GM is not allowed. For non-food crops like cotton only GM is allowed, but we do not really have data as to tell what will happen when we use it for other areas. And a lot of experts are telling this food crop and non-food crop distinction itself is not based on proper scientific evaluation. So this is what you should know with regard to this article. Now let us move on to the next article. This article is about 10 Indian languages getting scientific term dictionaries, scientific and technical terms. So let us see what is this about. So with rapid advancement in science and technology, what is happening, for everything we are using English only, no? But what is the equivalent term in native Indian languages? So for a lot of major languages we have equivalent terms, at least translations are being done. For example, in Hindi, Tamil, Malayalam, you might have equivalent words, but in few languages equivalent words are not there. So the government is using the Commission for Scientific and Technical Terminology. So they are using them to translate all these words. So what are the 10 languages that will be having this? So Bodo, Santali, Dogri, Kashmiri, Konkani, Nepali, Manipuri, Sindhi, Maithili and Sanskrit. So these 10 languages are going to have scientific terms translated to their own language. So why was there a need for this? Because in these languages there was a shortage of study material. When school students or college students are studying about this scientific phenomena, what is happening, they are studying in English only. There is no equivalent words in their own language. So that is why the government has decided to do this. And whatever little translations that have been done, they have been done only for the primary school level, but for high school, college and all, there is no translation at all. So the government is doing it. So what is the immediate task? So right now they are going to do translation in 15 disciplines. So what are they? Journalism, PubBat, chemistry, botany, zoology, psychology, physics, economics, Ayurveda, mathematics, computer science, political science, agriculture, civil and electrical engineering. So in 10 languages, in 15 disciplines, their first focus will be there. So what will help? So they will help textbook formulation at the middle and senior school as well as university. So 3 levels: middle school, high school and university. So in these 3 areas, these 10 languages will have technical terms translated across these 15 disciplines. So how will it be useful? They will give all these dictionaries to state education boards, universities, engineering institutes, NTS. So they are only conducting entrance examinations, right? What are the entrance examinations they are conducting? They are conducting common university entrance tests, JEE main, UGC, NET. For all these exams they are conducting, NTA is conducting. So for all these exams we will have the right translated terms. So let us see about CSTT. It was set up in 1961 Why was it set up? Because technical terminology keeps evolving, right? So let's say if you say Android, what is the equivalent word in Indian language? So for that and all, we should have language experts. So it is under the Ministry of Education. So what it has done, they have signed MOUs with a lot of leading institutes, including IIT Bombay. So whenever they translate the technical term, they'll give it to IIT Bombay and they will quickly disseminate it through their online portals. So why is it very important? Because National Education Policy 2020, they have given a very deep emphasis for regional usage of regional languages in both schools and colleges, because whenever you learn through your own mother language, it is found through various scientific studies that it goes into your head very well, and and the learning becomes joyful. So the government has kept that in mind, and it came in the National Education Policy 2020. So for that, usage of regional languages become important, so this will aid that. So this is what this article is about. Now let us move on to the next article. This article is about early diagnosis and treatment of diabetes in pregnant women and how it benefits their infants. Now let us go into the article. So why is it in news? Because recently studies have found that early diagnosis and treatment of gestational diabetes mellitus is helping their own infants. So what they have found, if the treatment is started before 20 weeks, it is good for the patient, that is the mother, as well as the child. If you give no treatment, or if you start the treatment after 24 to 28 weeks, then it becomes very detrimental for the child. So what did they find in that study? 1 out of 20 babies, that is if this early diagnosis was done, 1 out of 20 babies avoided birth complications like broken bones or nerves or getting stuck during birth. So these are birth complications. But if you do diagnosis before 20 weeks, you are able to solve all these problems. And the child even will have breathing problems and all, right? So if this treatment was done earlier itself, this breathing problem was not there, and there was no need to keep them in ICU or neonatal intensive care. So this had come down by 40%. So that is a great numbers, right? For that, what you have to do, you will have to diagnose them for gestational diabetes mellitus. So what they are telling, this GDM, right? Earlier it was affecting a lot of women. That is 1 out of every 4 women was diagnosed with this. So what they are telling, this study will help them avoid women getting these problems. So we'll see about gestational diabetes mellitus. So what is this? It's a degree of glucose intolerance. So when will this come? During pregnancy this will come. So what you should know, glucose intolerance. This is like diabetes only, that is sugar. So it occurs during pregnancy, because during this time the body becomes less sensitive to insulin. So because of this, what will happen? Type 2 diabetes in mother as well as the baby. So what will happen to the baby? Low birth weight, increased risk for diabetes, obesity, hypertension and cardiovascular diseases, and intergenerational transfer of it, that is from mother to the child to its offspring. Like that, there will be intergenerational transfer. And what is type 2 diabetes? It affects the way body uses insulin. So what is the difference between type 1 and type 2 diabetes? In type 1, the body will not make insulin at all, but in type 2, the body will make insulin, but the cells in the body will not respond to the insulin that is being generated. So this is the most common type of diabetes, and it has very strong links with obesity. So obese people, they will not have chronic diabetes, that is they will not get it from their father or grandfather. That is chronic diabetes, that is type 1 diabetes. This type 2 diabetes is if you are too obese, you will get it. So what is the difference between type 1 and type 2? That also we saw. In type 1, body will stop making insulin at all, but in type 2, body will make insulin, but the cells will not respond to the insulin that is being generated. So you should know this difference. Now let us move on to the next article. This article is about Pakistan and China promising each other that they will go on with CPEC. So you all know about CPEC, right? It is the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor. We'll see about it. So what has happened recently? Pakistan and China, they have expressed their commitment. So they are telling See, whatever happens, see, why a lot of problems? Do you know why there are a lot of problems? Because in Pakistan, a lot of Chinese are getting attacked, and their main projects are in Gwadar, which comes under Baluchistan, and there Baluch terrorists are attacking Chinese projects and Chinese nationals. So they are having a lot of problems. But what Pakistan and China is telling, whatever happens, we'll go ahead with this multi-dollar infrastructure project. So let us see about this CPEC. So what is CPEC? China-Pakistan Economic Corridor. It's just a bilateral project between China and Pakistan. What happens here is a 3000 kilometer long route infrastructure project. So we'll see in the map in the next slide. But see, it connects China's Xinjiang with Gwadar part in Balochistan, which is in Pakistan. So what they have signed a $60 billion project with China, and this is the second phase of CPEC. So what does this want to do? It is promoting connectivity. What type of connectivity? Highways, railways, pipelines. And what will these pipelines have? Energy pipelines, which will be used for industries and other infrastructure projects. So what will happen once this project is complete? So China will have access to Middle East, Africa from this Gwadar port. So which means China can directly come to Indian Ocean, and the CPEC is a part of the Belt and Road Initiative. So look at this map here. So this is the Xinjiang Autonomous Region of China. See, it is passing through Gilgit-Baltistan. So this is a part of Kashmir, which is occupied by Pakistan. So India is against the CPEC project because it violates India's territorial integrity. So, and it passes very close to Srinagar. So Gilgit-Baltistan, Islamabad, Lahore and Gwadar. So this Gwadar is in Balochistan. Here only there are a lot of terrorist activities going on against Pakistan as well as Chinese projects. So Indian Ocean is here. So if China comes here, China will have access to Africa, Middle East. Earlier they did not have access. Now they will have access, and they will be very close to India. So already they are in Hambantota, and in Myanmar also they have few ports. Now with Gwadar, they'll be encircling India from all the sides. So have a look at this map. Now let us see what Belt and Road Initiative is. So it was launched in 2013. It aims to link Southeast Asia, Central Asia, Gulf region, Africa and Europe with network of land and sea routes. So wherever China wants connectivity, they are doing this. So but what problem we have with CPEC? India's sovereignty and security threat that we saw. No, what is that? This Gilgit-Baltistan is in Pakistan occupied Kashmir, which India says forms a part of India. So next, India is worried about Chinese control over trade and string of pearls. I told you, surrounding India they have a lot of ports, that is called the string of pearl strategy. And the emergence of Pakistan as an outsourcing destination. So that is also a worry for India. And Chinese dominance in trade leadership was also a worrying trend for India. So India is worried about all these things, as well as this economic corridor passing through Gilgit-Baltistan. Let us move on to the next article. This article is about multi-drug resistant TB and how scientists have identified how there are various mutations in DNA which lead to this multi-drug resistant TB. So what the scientists have found, so see here what the scientists have found, they have found mutations in DNA. So because of these mutations in DNA only, few TB are becoming very difficult to resist. So these TB are called multi-drug resistant TB, because even if you give a lot of pre-existing medicines, they will not react to it. That is, it will be very difficult to cure TB using those drugs. So if we identify this DNA, what we can do, we can diagnose multi-drug resistant TB earlier itself, and we can cure it. So who did this study? It was led by a group of scientists from CSIR, Center for Cellular and Molecular Biology. So what did they do? They did that. So this mutations in DNA repair genes. So they found out, they found that DNA repair genes, and they said this could be used for the early diagnosis of multi-drug resistant and extensively drug resistant TB. So we'll see what are the findings of the study. Compromised DNA repair. So just keep this in mind. So they are telling because of this mechanism only, because of the evolution of this mechanism only, drug resistant TBs are coming. So this drug resistant TB is caused by Mycobacterium tuberculosis. So and what they did, they said if you do whole genome sequencing of bacteria, this DNA can be repaired. So next what they are telling, they are talking about what this multi-drug resistant TB is. So they are telling this multi-drug resistant TB is resistant to first line anti-TB drugs and what are the first line anti-TB drugs? That is we'll see what those drugs are. So what doctors will do is first they'll give these first line drugs. If it is not working, then they'll tell this is multi-drug resistant TB. Even if for that they'll give medicine, and even if that is not working, it means then it is extensively drug resistant TB. So in India this is happening very commonly because multi-drug resistant and extensive drug resistant TBs are becoming very common. So government is taking a lot of steps to alleviate it. So let us see about TB. So it generally affects lungs. It is a contagious disease, but it can also affect other parts like kidney, spinal cord and brain. It can even affect eyes, which is called ocular TB, and it is caused by a bacterium called Mycobacterium tuberculosis, and it spreads through air. Even if the surroundings and environment is not neat, clean and unhygienic, and if it's untidy, then also it will spread. So what are the first line of drugs that are given? It is isoniazid, rifampicin, pyranizumab and ethambutol. So keep all these drugs in mind. This isoniazid and rifampicin are very common. In the exam they might just give you names of these drugs and they might ask what are these. So what is the status of TB in India according to World Health Organization? We have close to 25,90,000 people with TB in India. It's a very common disease in India, but we have vaccine for TB, which is the BCG vaccine, and in G20 Stop TB partnership was discussed in Varanasi. This is a good sign. And what are the global efforts? So WHO, that is World Health Organization, has launched a joint initiative. It's called Find Treat All. So and hashtag NTB. So this is being done by the World Health Organization. So they are doing these things. So this is what today's news articles are about. Now let us move on to previous year questions. So the first statement says the minimum age prescribed for any person to be a member of Panchayat is 25 years. This is wrong. In the exam they'll give you wrong data and ask if it is right or wrong. This is wrong. The answer is 21. The Panchayat reconstituted after premature dissolution continues only for the remainder period. Yes, this is true. So for every 5 years there should be election, and whenever if the Panchayat dissolutes in between, let's say it dissolves after 3 years, the Panchayat that is reconstituted will be there for only 2 years. So this is right. So the first one is wrong and the second one is right. So the answer is B2 only. So the plan of Sir Stafford Cripps envisaged that after the Second World War, so you all remember the Cripps Commission, right? It will have Sir Pethick Lawrence, Cripps. So what was their idea? What was their plan? India should be granted complete independence. No, obviously not. This is the wrong answer. India should be partitioned into two before granting independence. This is also wrong. See, nobody gave this idea. I mean, the August offer also did not say this. The Cripps Mission also did not say this, and even the Wavell Plan did not say this. So this is also wrong. India should be made a republic within the condition that she'll join the Commonwealth. This is also wrong because they did not talk about republic, and Commonwealth also was not forced on India. India should be given dominion status. Yes, this they told. You support us right now, and after the end of the war, we will give you dominion status. This they said, but our leaders did not accept this. What was the main reason for the split in the Indian National Congress at Surat in 1907? Introduction of communalism into Indian politics by Lord Minto. That was a bit later, I would say, actually, because Lord Minto's communalism started with 1909 Government of India Act, Indian Council Act, where they gave separate electorate for Muslims. So next is extremist lack of faith in the capacity of the moderates to negotiate with the British government. This statement will keep it. Foundation of Muslim League. This is not the right answer. Aurobindo Ghosh, inability to be elected as the president of the Indian National Congress. So this is not the right option because Aurobindo Ghosh did not he did not actually wanted to be the president of the Indian National Congress. He was on the extremist side. He had his own plans, but he wanted Tilak to be the president of the extremist side. So that was also not this is also not the right option. So the right option is extremist lack of faith in the capacity of the moderates to negotiate with the British government, because what moderates are doing, they're just prayer, petition, same thing only they're doing. No, so nothing is coming out of what the moderates are doing. So the extremists under Bal Gangadhar Tilak, Lala Lajpat Rai, and even Aurobindo Ghosh was supporting extremists only. So these people did not believe moderates. So they actually felt moderates cannot do anything substantial. Even for telling the word Swaraj, they were very careful, right? They were very scared. So that is the state of moderates. So extremists did not trust them much. So I took this question because sometimes because of this changing pattern, they're asking. Earlier there used to be something called pin, places in news or persons in news. So they used to ask this before. So now they stopped it, but again they started it. So if there are any movies which are related to history or culture or important person, then I guess you should just have a look at it. Now let's say RRR won Oscars, so you might have to see about the Madras Forest Act and the various tribal revolts and rebellions that happened during the British rule, or they might directly ask from the rebellions itself, forest rebellions itself. So just have a look at these things. So that's why I took this question. So the Man Who Knew Infinity was based on the life of Srinivasa Ramanujan. He died very young, but nevertheless, man of great genius. So this movie was about him. This is actually a Hollywood movie. So, if there are things like this going on in the news, just have a look at it. So that's all for the day. You can follow us on Instagram, Telegram, Facebook. You are already following us on YouTube. If you like this video, please share it among your friends and subscribe the channel. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you tomorrow.